It's me again. I'm Steve, and I'm here with Alex. Alex, how you doing?
All right. How you doing? I'm great, man.
Excellent, excellent. We recently just talked about Event Horizon, a sci-fi horror film back from 1997, and today we're going to be talking about Alien 3. From 1992.
1992.
For a while, this was the black sheep of the Alien franchise. A lot of people didn't like it when it came out. I remember going to the movies to see it. I actually kind of liked it then. But hey, man, it's the sequel to one of the greatest sci-fi action movies ever.
Yes.
One of the greatest sequels ever, which was the sequel to one of the greatest space horror films ever.
Yes.
So a lot to live up to with this movie. You know, it's if you want to compare it to a trilogy, you know, maybe like, you know, if you take The Godfather, first Godfather, great movie.
Right.
Godfather 2 is even better. But Godfather 3 is like,
Right.
you know, maybe they waited too long, whatever. So it's just one of those movies that, man, it gets a bad rap because of the movies you have to compare it to. And it's kind of unfair to this movie because they wanted to do something different. And I can appreciate that. So yeah, this movie, man, like I said, 1992, directed by David Fincher, who's done plenty over the years. And just to get into that, who's in this movie, start with the director, David Fincher. This guy's directed, you know, he directed countless music videos back in the day. He's a producer on all kinds of shows. I don't know if you ever watched Mindhunter on Netflix. Excellent show. He's a producer and director on a bunch of episodes. But one of the actors from that show, one of the main actors in that show, is actually in Alien 3. And I can't remember the actor's name right off the top of my head. But he's, I want to say he's the one with the teardrop tattoo.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his name. But yeah, he's one of the main characters in Mindhunter. But, you know, as a director, this guy has done, you know, tons of movies. He did Zodiac, you know, Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Right.
Just all types of stuff. Panic Room, Seven. You know, how would we forget that? Seven.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, David Fincher, man, he's done a lot. Of course, Sigourney Weaver is back as Lieutenant Ripley, and you know, naturally, she's back in this movie. We have the always incredible Charles S. Dutton. We'll get into his character, but you know, at the time, Charles S. Dutton was really just known for the TV show Rock.
Right.
And I want to say Rock was still on TV when this movie came out, if I remember correctly.
Right.
I can't remember what years that series ran, but yeah,
Yeah,
I remember watching it. So.
You figure it's 92, it was still on.
Yeah. And you got Charles Dance, man, in this movie. You know, a young Charles Dance. My favorite role of Charles Dance, you know, except for maybe Tywin Lannister on Game of Thrones, is it Bennett in Last Action Hero?
Oh yeah.
With
Was
the one eye.
Was he the bad guy?
Yeah. I always love that role, and that's when I think of him, that's the first person that comes to mind is Bennett from Last Action Hero. Mm-hmm.
Another role that he played that I was gonna mention to you and see if you remember him or not. He was the villain from The Golden Child, Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah, yeah, Brother Noopsy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, how did I forget that? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, how did I forget that?
Yeah. That one. When I saw his face, when I looked it up,
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man, I remember this dude." Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. And a bunch of other like character actors that we've seen in a bunch of different movies.
Right.
I can never pronounce this guy's name, but it's Pete Postlewaite. But he was in Usual Suspects. He was the guy that was talking about Kaiser Soze.
Okay.
He's got a weird looking face. You know him if you see him. And just like a bunch of other like character actors that just been in all kinds of movies. When it comes to what this movie is about, you want to break that down? Oh, let me back up. We've both seen the regular theatrical version of this film.
Right.
For this review, we both watched the special edition version of this film.
Right.
So as we're talking about this movie, if we're mentioning something that you haven't seen, because you know if you're a viewer of this video and you've seen Alien 3 and you're saying there was no cow in Alien 3, what are you talking about?
Right.
Watch the special edition version. It's literally a completely different movie.
Yes.
It's about a half hour longer. And it's a different movie. And I mean, way different.
Yeah.
With my memory of the movie. So, and I think you watched them a lot closer together.
Right.
I hadn't seen the original Alien 3 for many years before watching the special edition. You watched them kind of back to back.
Right.
So you have a better idea of what's different, more fresh in your mind.
Right. Right. Definitely.
But that being said, what is this movie? What is the plot of this movie?
Well, the plot is it basically right after Aliens, the movie Aliens, you know, the ship is heading back to Earth with Ripley, Hickson, and Newt, and apparently there was an alien on board, and it caused a fire. So, you know, being we're in the future, you know, the cryotubes are loaded into like what do you call it? Rescue ships, little small rescue ships or escape pods, and jettisoned down to a planet that's referred to as Fury 161, which is kind of like again, this just goes to show you how how long the tentacles of Weyland Enterprise are. It was a lead work. And Weyland, being the company, the little corporation that they are, they're doing cheap labor, so you got inmates doing your work. So it's kind of like a lead work, kind of like a chain gang planet with the lead works, which you got your chain gang there. And after they closed the facility down, the inmates decided to stay because they ended up taking up this type of religion, end of the world type religion, and the main person that was leading that was this character called Dylan, which was played by Charles Dutton. And so Ripley and Hickson, Newt end up crash landing into the ocean right near the facility, and they're rescued by the inmates, and of course we lose Hicks and Newt both at the same time. And Ripley was the only one that survived the crash, so she is taken care of she's taken to the infirmary and woken up by the doctor, who's played by Charles Dance, and she's, you know, made aware of what happened, why they crashed and everything. Well, actually, she didn't know why they crashed, but she knew that they crash landed in the back of Earth. Yeah. So immediately she becomes.
She was suspicious of what happened.
Right, she becomes concerned. So, but she's explained that there are 25 inmates there on a facility that haven't seen a female in years, in a lot of years. So she's pretty much told that she's, you know, confined to the infirmary, which of course she bucks because that's Ripley. And she's trying to find out exactly, you know, what happened, why they crashed, and was there an alien that caused the crash. So in between a lot of events that happened, an alien did come down, crash land with them, and it ends up infecting I guess it was an ox or bison. I don't want to call it a bull. It looked like it was a bull, but I guess maybe it might have been a bison or an ox, but it was big, and ends up bursting out of that, and then you know, going off to the facility and to commit murder. So she's starting to feel sickly. At first she feels that it might be because of the cryo sleep, but it turns out that it's something totally different, and she finds out that the reason why. After she finds Bishop, who is on a scrap heap, um, and
Yeah.
she plugs him into the flight recorder. She finds out that an alien was on board. She was infected by a face hugger while she was in her cryotube, and she's pregnant with the queen. Of course, the queen probably takes a much longer incubation period because of she's intelligent, you know. So I figured that's my excuse for it. But
Right. Right.
yeah, again,
They don't really go into it too
right,
much. Yeah.
right. So after that, the alien starts to kill people, kill some of the inmates and stuff. And the doctor is inquiring, like, you know, what happened and what's going on and why are you so concerned. They actually had to do an autopsy on Newt, which was a very dark scene. You know, they're doing autopsy on a child. So found out that there's nothing wrong. Newt died because she drowned. And so again, the mystery is, you know, how did the alien get there? In the midst of him trying to figure out and talking to her and everything, he ends up dying along with with several others. Eventually, they decide to try to burn the alien out of the air ducts. So just snatching people from the air ducts, so they try to burn the alien out of the air ducts, and that plan botched up. But they ended up well, this is the difference that bothered me. Okay, in the theatrical version of this, the alien did not get captured. Okay, they tried to burn it down. Whole plan botched, and the alien went off about his business. In this one, he actually gets captured in this holding facility, holding tank that they came up with, which was, I guess, was like a bunker for toxic waste or whatnot. It was, you know, the walls were fortified and stuff like that. And of course, one of the inmates that witnessed a death that occurred in front of him by the alien, who stark raving crazy, ends up going and unlocking the doors and letting the damn thing out, which that blew my mind, because that those two parts night and day, you know. So anyway, on the last stand, you know, Charles Dutton's character Dylan gets the guys together for like one last hurrah, so to speak. You know, and that speech that he does is one of my favorite speeches in any movie. You know, he said, "We're all gonna die. It's all about how you check out. You check out on your knees, begging, or on your feet. You know, I ain't begging because ain't nobody give me nothing. So you know, let's fight it."
Right.
So, so they get together and they lower the alien into the mold, the lead mold, and the mold is poured. And by the time that happens, Weyland Enterprises, of course, all of the electronics, everything goes back to the Weyland database, and they already knew that Ripley had been infected. You know, she was carried a queen, and they were hottailing it to Fury 161. And by the time they kill the alien, it jumps out of the lead mold, and it's scorching hot lead on it. And then she hits the sprinklers and it blows up. And then Weyland Enterprises gets there, and she already has in her mind that she's not going to give them the alien or give them the opportunity to do anything with her or the alien. So she decides to kill herself. And and pretty much that's it. I don't told half the movie, most of the movie. But
no, I mean, you told most of it, but that's fine, because
that's pretty much
it's one of those movies that that's what happens. And another big difference, man, is at the end when Ripley kills herself. I distinctly remember in the theatrical version, the alien pops out of her chest on the way down.
Yes.
And in the special edition, that doesn't happen. She just falls in and dies.
Yeah. And I thought that was beautiful.
These movies are almost night and day.
Yeah.
These movies are almost night and day when it comes to the plot and the story beats and really how interesting it is. It's honestly, even though the special edition is longer, it's a more interesting watch.
Yes.
Like I want to say it's like a half hour before the alien even kills anybody in this movie.
Yeah.
At least a half hour in. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes that the special edition is. So you really get time to get some character and world building. with these guys in the special edition version.
Right.
Not to say that the theatrical version is terrible or anything, but it just is really like a night and day difference. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of astonishing that the theatrical version is the one that made it to theaters.
Yes, yes, because you figure this version here,
this one is superior.
It definitely gave you enough time to get accustomed with a lot more of the inmates. You know, whereas the theatrical version, you really didn't know but a couple of them, and that was it. And then the rest of them were cannon fodder. So, but it also built on the fact of why Dylan was in charge, and he was kind of like that stoic. You know, he wasn't running them like a boss, but he was like the big brother, the one that's running the house.
Big brother, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that part, and I think that was taken away. That essence of that was taken away from the theatrical version of it. So.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Just to get into, we talked about the plot. Let's get into the kills. And there's some pretty decent kills in this movie. It's not like, I don't want to say like some of the kills aren't that creative, because you'd already seen Alien and Aliens, and how many different ways can an alien kill somebody?
Yeah.
So this movie has, even though a lot of people get killed, there's not like, they're not really like the most creative kills. I'll just say that as far as the human deaths, my favorite one is the most badass one, which is Charles Dutton in Dylan when he goes out, because he goes out fighting.
Yeah.
He goes out fighting and keeping the alien where they can dump the lead on it.
Right.
So he knew he was going to die one way or another. He was going to get lead poured on him, or the alien was going to kill him. So like, you can't go out harder than that. It's like somebody fighting a grizzly bear, in a volcano or something.
Right.
There's no, you can't.
Right.
You can't go out harder than that. But on what may be that's my favorite human death.
Yeah.
What may be my favorite kill of the movie is the actual death of the alien. For two reasons. One, I'll ignore the fact that the lead didn't kill the alien.
Yeah.
All right, it has an exoskeleton, but still, that stuff is like 2,000 degrees. Lead is heavy as shit. There's no way that thing could have jumped out of it. Okay. It jumped out. It was like 10 feet deep in lead. Like, there's no way you can just jump out of that.
Right.
But whatever. I'll ignore that, because this movie did something that I always appreciate, and that's setups and payoffs.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, when they're putting that flame, whatever that chemical was, on the walls, and they try to trap the alien by lighting it on fire.
Toxic stuff.
You see, when they accidentally set it off early and everything's burning, and they turn on the sprinklers, you see that bucket split because it was really hot, and that cold water hit it, and you see it split.
Right.
And you actually get a payoff like an hour later in the movie of the same thing. Like, it's just smart writing and smart directing to put that in the movie, because some people don't know that, like, the way that heat and cold and expansion and contraction, all that stuff works. They just showed you the most simple way that, hey, this thing was really hot. You put cold water on it, it'll expand so fast that it'll split.
Right.
At the end of the movie, you get a payoff on that, and the same thing happens to the alien. The guy said, "Hey, turn the sprinklers on. He's hot." Turn the sprinklers on. Alien explodes into a million pieces.
Right.
It definitely ain't coming back from that.
No.
So that's probably actually my favorite. That's probably my favorite kill in the movie, honestly.
Definitely. Yeah. For me,
Well, what was yours?
For me, like, you took Charles Dutton's one. That's one I love that character, man. Love the way he went out, man. And I thought that just kind of like just was the icing on the cake for him. All the way he went out, like, really good. But satisfying for me was, there was actually, we mentioned that the guy with the teardrop, you said, was actually attached to some of the people in the studio or whatnot that were involved in making a film or whatnot. He went from him and his little gang of ruffians were trying to rape Ripley, and it kind of surprised me, the fact that in the special edition version here, where he was on the other side and the alien was in the middle, right after the fire, and the group was on this side, and he actually was in a position where he could have led the alien into the bunker, and he chose to do that, which
Yeah.
I thought was like seriously, like, I don't, like, like one of those moments where, you're a piece of shit, but you want to do the right thing. So when the
Yeah.
door
Yeah.
closed, and then you heard him go, ah, because he was getting his ass ate up, and I was just like, yeah, man, I appreciate you doing that, but you deserve that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because Charles Jutton had whooped his ass earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he ran up on and whooped his ass earlier.
Like, we're trying to
You know
rape
what I'm saying?
Ripley.
He caught a little beat down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, that was pretty good. I can't remember what happened. Did he have the same death in the theatrical version? Do you remember?
No, actually, you didn't see him die at all. That whole part was taken away, man. Once the flames went off,
Right.
they cut to a scene way after all of that, and the guy, remember, they were having a discussion. I think it was the character's name, the really gruff, little short British guy. I think his name was Danny. What's up, boy?
The one that lived.
Yeah. The one that lived, that got shot up. He was arguing with 85 about what are we going to do now? What are we going to do? So it cut from all of that we missed to what are we going to do now, which was like what, damn near 20 minutes worth of footage.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't even see him die.
Shit. Wow.
Yeah.
This extended cut is
crazy.
Way different.
Crazy.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just say, because there's no point in us even going over this for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But who's your favorite character?
Charles Dutton. I liked. I think his full name was
same here.
Leonard. Was it Leonard Dillon? Yeah, I think that I would have liked to see a lot more of him. I was interested in why he was in there. Well, I mean, of course, he said that he told Ripley early on in the mess hall, you don't want to know me. I'm a rapist and murderer of women. I get that, but
yeah,
I want to know what you were before you got there. That
how he became like that, this religious leader,
right?
Like they're basically monks in here.
Yeah.
How did that even come about? They're the skeleton crew for because it was a much bigger crew there, and like this is explained in the movie, but there was a much bigger crew,
right? And
they're just a skeleton crew there to keep things in operation,
right. They chose to stay.
So yeah, like what are these guys' actual sentences? Like where are they going to go if they leave this place? There's a whole lot more story to explore with this.
Right. Definitely.
So yeah, I agree, man. He was my favorite character in the movie. Easily, hands down.
Yeah,
hands down. Like Ripley isn't the same in this movie as she is in the first two Alien movies.
No.
In the first one, she was kind of green. She was kind of green, but she was smart.
Right.
In the second one, she was just complete badass. And in this one, man, she's kind of just broken.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's been through so much, Newt's dead, Hicks is dead, Bishop's, basically scrapped.
Busted, right.
You're right, she's been through everything. Then she finds out she's got an alien in her. They got no weapons on the planet, which is another thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought was interesting. There's no weapons on this planet, so what makes this even more of a suspenseful story is like, okay, these guys are, there's 25 of them, there's only one alien, but they don't have any weapons.
Assed out.
They got axes and poles and stuff, so they don't have shit. And what are they supposed to do to stop this alien? They had to come up with a plan, man. I like that. I like when there's movies where the underdogs have to use smarts and wits to defeat the enemy or the bad guy, rather than like brute force. And it's always a much better story.
Exactly. Because I was going to ask you next, what you thought the dumbest death was in there in the film? What was the dumbest death?
Oh, man.
I'm interested to see what you thought the dumbest one was. I'll tell you mine.
I don't want to say it's like the dumbest, but just like I think maybe the dude fall into the fan. But
yeah.
Honestly though, like I can appreciate it for this. I can appreciate it for not being like an obvious, like like he was eaten by something, and they're like, "Oh my god, something ate him" or whatever, and like he got chopped up by a fan, so they didn't know what killed him.
Right. No evidence.
Except for the little bit of acid that Charles Dance found.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that, like, I don't know, man. Like, you're watching the Alien movie, you don't want to see some dude fall into a fan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think
but
the theatrical version, the way he died in the theatrical version was spot on. It was legit. But at the same time, with this one here, it kind of crossed up because the theatrical version, he actually had a pet Rottweiler, so he thought that the Rottweiler was down there stuck, you know, and that he'd look down there and it was the alien, and the alien popped him, he fell into the fan. You know, this one, it just kind of like, I'm like, why would you stick your head all the way down in there, man? Like, what are you doing?
Right. If there is a fault, if you're right, if there is a fault with this version, the special edition, is that they never show the Rottweiler.
Right, none.
In the theatrical version, you see the Rottweiler, and the alien actually infects the Rottweiler, and that's why it comes out. It looks like kind of like a dog when it emerges.
Right, made more sense to me. Yeah.
In the special edition, there's no. You hear him saying, you know, hear whatever the dog's name is, but you never actually see the Rottweiler. So if you had never seen the theatrical version and you saw this one, you'd be like, well, I never saw a dog. What is he talking about?
Right.
It must be a dog somewhere.
Right.
It's in the theatrical version.
Yeah.
So, I just think maybe that might be the dumbest death. The dumbest thing is what I already mentioned about the alien jumping out of the lead. It's like 15 tons of lead. That thing ain't jumping out of there.
Right.
But anyway, I'm curious to know what yours is.
Mine, I got a lot of. I mean, I'm weird, man. I get comedy out of weird moments. But when 85 picked up that wrench and hit the fake bishop over the head, man, and they got like 50 armed mercenaries there, dude, I was like, what the hell are you doing, bro? What are you doing?
How do you think it's going to turn out?
But then it made sense. 85. That's why they call him 85. He, you know, his IQ was like dumb, man. So they smoked him.
Yeah.
He went out hard as hell. So to me, that was the dumbest death.
Dumb. And I remember, I remember watching that, man, and I was like, dude, where do you think this was gonna go? You know what I'm saying? Even if you killed him, what was your escape plan for this?
You knew what was coming next.
And like you said, man, his IQ knew how to pick up a wrench and hit somebody with it. But that's as far as he could calculate.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was
because they smoked his ass with the quickness.
Right. That was on point. The dumbest death in the whole film for me.
I'm trying to think there's another one, but nah, I think you just nailed it. You just nailed it with that one. Definitely. What was your favorite? What's your favorite scene in the movie?
Wow. We talking about like visuals? I would say visual for me was the furnace when they threw Hicks and Newt into the furnace. I thought that whole scene was done very, very well. It was kind of like a point in the film where it was early on, but it was memorable enough, you know, because again, that was kind of like the last time we were going to see those characters, even though we didn't really see them because they were wrapped, but we knew who they were. And when Charles Dutton came up and did that really nice speech about, you know, casting the body to the void with a kind heart, it really was like the icing on the cake for me, man. For his character, it was really good. But that whole thing right there was my favorite. I like that. The visuals were like ridiculous with the furnace and the lead. Oh, that was badass. It was almost like you were standing there with him, you know?
Man. Right. For me, man, it's probably that speech, man, by Charles Dutton. And honestly, it's not like it's the best scene in the movie or anything like that. It's just one of those scenes that like I just appreciate the fact that this actor, you know, Charles Dutton, he's just giving a great performance.
Yeah.
And
absolutely,
you know, it's like dirty and dingy down there, and like there are a bunch of criminals and a freaking alien killing everybody. Man, he gives the speech like that's basically saying, all right, y'all, you know, go hard or go home. Like, this is our last stand. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
He
stop
told
being
him
a bunch
straight
of
up. He
punks
said,
and let's do
he
it.
said, you're all gonna die. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You know, how you want to check
Yeah.
out.
Right. You'll punch your own ticket, or you know how you want to do
Exactly.
it. You know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I can definitely appreciate that, man. Let me ask you this: Why? What is your opinion of the? It's actually two questions. What is your opinion of the theatrical version versus the special edition, and why do you like one more than the other?
My opinion, I understand why they did it, because you figure if it's like almost an hour worth of extra footage, you know, they did it with Lord of the Rings, and they've done it with other films where they've gotta cut a lot of stuff down or out in order to keep the pace of the film. But at the same time, you know, being a fan and being one of those people that I like details, I like character development. I want to see everything. So that's not, I'm not like everybody else. You know what I mean? Some people want to sit down, enjoy their ride, and go home. So I understand why they did it. I enjoyed the theatrical one, but I like the special edition one better because it just gave me a little bit more, a little small parts for the different characters, and you actually got a chance to get to know a few of the inmates. They weren't just people that were there. I mean, you figure it was 25 men. You know, out of those 25 men, you at least should know about 5 of them, you know, other than the ones that you know, other than the regular characters that had like the hero cards, you know. So the special edition one actually gave us the opportunity to really kind of see what was going on, and a little bit behind, a little glimpse behind some of these characters. So I like that. I like that a lot. But the theatrical one kind of was done in a way where it kept pace, and in the end it made sense. You know, I mean, everything kind of came together. But I just thought you were losing a lot. You were losing a lot of the story. Like you said, it's almost night and day. 2 different films on.
Yeah. And I'm curious because I didn't have a chance to compare. Is the soundtrack different?
You know, it's got the same film. It's got
the
same
score.
The score it's the same score. I think the guy's name is Elliot Goldenthal. The undertones of the film, of this film, were a lot more darker than the other films, because this guy didn't do the score for didn't do the music for the other film.
Well, I mean, you know, good points, man. Like for me, a lot of the same reasons. You can see where if you're a producer or a movie studio, that you might want to cut some scenes out of this movie to get it under 2 hours. But you know, what do you sacrifice?
Yeah.
Because with the cuts that were made and the additions that were made, these are kind of 2 different movies. And one is, to me personally, is just superior to the other. And did you really have to cut some of the things that were cut?
Yeah.
You know, maybe the scene of, like you said, with the guy, the crazy dude, man, convincing the one guy to unlock him from the straitjacket, and then he kills him or knocks him out. Goes and releases the alien, and you know, dies in the process. I think I understand why the studio cut that part, because I know it didn't have that. That wasn't even in the theatrical version.
No, none of that.
I remember.
Nowhere near that. Yep.
I can understand. I can understand why they cut it, but seeing it, to me, it's better in the movie. Even though, like I said, it's kind of a dumb move. It's just better in the movie because you get more. You get the setup earlier of this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you get that setup earlier. There's something not right about it, and you get that payoff later.
Yeah. When
he does something insane.
Yep.
And
it proves you were right.
I just think that, man, like, yeah, right. They were right all along. This dude is crazy as shit. But yeah, man, like, I think that the special edition really just brings a little bit extra to this movie, and I would encourage anyone, if you haven't seen Alien 3, try to watch the special edition.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It's like watching the special edition. It's actually, I'll take that back. It's not like watching the special edition of Aliens. because the special edition of Aliens does add some footage, but it doesn't necessarily make it a better movie. It's already a great movie.
Right. Right.
Alien 3 isn't a great movie. It's a good movie. The special edition kind of brings it closer to great.
Right. Yes.
You know, it's not perfect. It's not, I wouldn't say it's excellent, 9 out of 10, like that. But it's definitely a better movie than the theatrical version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely encourage anybody, like, if you get your hands on the special edition, just watch that, because it's just a far better movie. You get more time with the inmates. You get more time with, Charles Dutton and everybody. And if there's a scene that they maybe should have left out, it's the fact that, like, Ripley and Charles Dance got it on. You don't actually see that happen, but just the fact that they even went there, like, it was kind of pointless.
Yeah, to me,
there's really no need for that.
Yeah. I didn't too much care for that part.
That could have been left out of both.
Right.
Yeah. Man, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, this film, it got a lot of lousy publicity because I guess they were trying to say that it was one of the worst films of the franchise. I got to disagree with that. I think that this kind of locks in the first three for me, because especially in this film here, this is a much darker film. It's kind of like almost like The Empire Strikes Back of the three films, where we had like a heroic ending for the second one, and the third one we go way, way, way down in the dumps. Ripley's in a dark place, man. She is not that heroic, I'm not taking no shit from nobody character. She lost a lot way in the beginning of this film with the death of Newt and then Hicks. So she's at a low point, and then finding out that she's got a queen in her, man, that's just like what's my purpose? Why don't I just die right now? That's where she's at right now. Right. And to see her go through all of that and still kind of keep fighting all the way through just makes this memorable, for me.
Yeah.
And she dies in this film.
Same here, man. Same here. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they found a way to bring her back in that terrible sequel. Whatever. That's a whole other conversation.
Cloning,
Playing, shooting basketball and stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man.
Trash.
Whenever a movie goes, like the jump in the shark phrase.
From Happy Days.
If an actor is right, if an actor is playing basketball in a movie, to me, like, you're jumping the shark. Because I think of Alien, was it Resurrection? Like, that's the next one, right?
Yeah, Resurrection.
I think of that when she was just shooting ball, and then I think of freaking Catwoman on the basketball court.
Yeah,
like Halle Berry. That's your career ended on that basketball court. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Don't play basketball in a movie.
Yeah, I thought it was loud too, man. Yeah.
I really do appreciate this movie, man. I appreciate it more now that I've finally seen the special edition.
Yeah. And
I want to thank you, man, for coming and talking about it.
Hey, absolutely.
And hopefully, we get some. Hopefully, at least one other person watches the special edition of Alien 3. It really isn't a bad movie at all. It's pretty good.
Right. Hope so too.
As always, as always, man. Thanks. I couldn't do it without you. I'd be talking to myself. If it wasn't,
no problem.
For you.
We'll do this anytime with you, man.
So, I appreciate you, man. Any parting words?
No, just definitely check out the film. Both of them if you have to, and see the comparison between the two.
Yeah,
and then get back to us in the comments.
Right, put aside like a 4-hour block of time and watch them both back to back.
Right.
You'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. So, hey, once again, man, thank you. Thanks for doing this. Everyone watching, hit the like button, subscribe. Stay tuned. There's going to be more to come.
Definitely.
Me and Alex, and I got some reviews and stuff on my channel. So, thanks and peace. We'll see you next time.